How's it going, everyone, and welcome to 4MR Ranch. Today I'm pretty excited to be sharing with you the latest and greatest from Range Time, who is formerly known as AR500 Target Solutions. So if you have been following the channel for a while, you notice that I oftentimes shoot at steel silhouette targets. Those were produced by formerly known as AR500 Target Solutions, now Range Time. Now, needless to say, those targets have been put up against hundreds and hundreds of rounds while I've been making content for this channel, and they've held up exceptionally well, which makes me pretty excited that they've come out with yet another target system, which is a plate rack system. So you get a set of 5 targets. They're 8 inches in diameter and a ½ inch thick. Now you have 2 options, AR550 steel and AR500 steel. So what I have right here to share with you today is the AR550, which is slightly harder than AR500 steel, for those that don't know. That being said, the AR500 steel targets that I currently have that are silhouettes from them have still held up very well, but I expect these to do that much better. Now, what's always really impressed me about Range Time and all the products they offer is that they kind of let you use really readily available materials. Example being this system. The meat and potatoes is kind of this A-frame that you have right out of the box. So you'll notice it's shaped for 2x4s. You'll stick a 2x4 through the middle. You got these little legs that come out, and you'll put some either pipe or EMT pipe, whatever you can find at the hardware store, roughly a 1-inch diameter. So I do have some EMT pipe. It's really easy to cut, even with the handsaw if you have to. And it essentially lets you pop up an A-frame. And then you get 5 of these brackets included with the 5-plate system, where the 2x4 will go through. You'll notice you have the same 20-degree angle as their silhouette targets, so all those fragments will go straight down at the ground and not back at you or other shooters on the range. And then an improvement over the previous systems is now they have a locking system. So again, it's as simple as just sliding that onto the bracket, but now you have a lock that'll keep plates, especially when you get into smaller size steel targets and you want to shoot it with larger calibers. It'll keep it from popping off on you at the range, so you don't have to keep setting things up. So that's about as much detail as I'm going to get into on these targets right now in this part of the video. We're going to go ahead and dive into the range footage so you can see how well these hold up for yourself. If you're someone that is interested in picking these up for yourself, or you may already have them and you just want guidance on how to set them up, then skip to the end of the video where I'm going to talk about the system in even more detail and give you some tips and guidance on how to set it up. I'll have timestamps in the description below, as well as a link to their website. So again, you know where to pick these up for yourself. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hit the range with Range Time. Got a shot timer. We're going to see what the time to beat will be for just 5 rounds. Every miss, we add 5 seconds. So start slow, work our way up. This is first time shooting pistol today, so warm up. One miss at the end. So 5-12, 1 miss. Screwed up that last one. Puts us at 10 seconds and 12 100ths of a second. So first shot at 195. And there's just something so satisfying about shooting steel like that. All right, going again. Time to beat is technically 10 seconds, but if I wouldn't have missed, it would have been roughly 5. So one, I skipped off the top, did have another miss. We're at 5.76. So kind of staying in the same ballpark. We'll go one more time. 5.85, and again some misses, so I need to slow it down and just be honest with myself, but it is still nonetheless fun shooting that steel and tracking your progress. Okay, so obviously 9mm is not going to do a whole lot. Literally at 15 yards, 9mm full metal jackets, at a 5-inch barrel guns, and it's just taking the paint off, not even any divots. So these ½ inch, I mean, they are some hefty boys. ½ inch AR550 steel is going to hold up for the long haul. Looking very, very good. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and start warming up today's range day session with rifle. We're at about 30 yards. Obviously, don't advise shooting at steel within 100 yards with the rifle caliber, and neither does Range Time targets. That being said, we're going to intentionally abuse them so you know if there's negligence or misuse, how well they hold up. And they are angled at a nice 20-degree downward angle. So in my experience, have not had issues with shrapnel, but obviously I'm not telling you to do this. So I'm going to fire 5 rounds, 1 on each plate. Alright, 1 miss, 4, 5, 8. Alright, let's head down range. You guys will be able to tell compared to the last footage, but I cannot personally differentiate the 5.56 full metal jacket at 30 yard from the 9mm at 15 yards. So these are some really stout, hard, and durable targets. There's not even any dimpling, 0 craters whatsoever, a nice flat surface. All you got to do is throw some fresh spray paint on and you basically have some brand new targets. And there's just enough give that some of that energy gets absorbed. And you can see that nice 20-degree downward angle that keeps you as a shooter nice and safe from any of that fragmentation. It goes straight down at the ground. As I was getting ready to break it down, I did notice that we had a hit just on the top edge of the hardware. So you can see at this angle where it would not be protected, and that's what happened here. So it appears that the hardware itself is more of a mild steel. That being said, there's a hit here, and that one's okay. So I guess depending on how that round hits, if it hits just right, you may take it out. You have another partial hit on this one, totally fine. So only damage to report is that, and luckily that's a very cheap and replaceable part. But even I think if I chewed up this whole entire top edge, the rest of it is still shielded. So that's all I have to report on the first range session. Now on my first range session, we hit it with 5.56 and a lot of 9mm out of handguns. 5.56, we were honestly within 30 yards at some points in our shooting drills, but today we brought out the 308. I just wanted to do these targets justice and test them out against a higher caliber. Okay, so I'm gonna pretend like I totally was aiming for this edge on purpose because I'm that skilled. No, I was just going kind of quick. But nonetheless, not even a dimple from 308 FMJ at 60 yards. Nothing whatsoever. Just some paint taken off there. And the same is true for the rest of these. Completely flat. Not even the faintest hint of a crater there. Just took the paint off. That is the only thing to report there. So hopefully you can see that. So sometimes when you shoot steel, you get a little bit of a dimple right where the FMJ hits, but with this AR550 steel, I mean, it is just working incredibly. I did want to show how fast and easy it comes together. So again, you need a 2x4, you got the 5 hangers that come with, you got the 5 target assemblies. You will need some conduit of some form. I have 1.5" pipe here that I cut down into 5-foot lengths, and then you got your 2 A-frame style brackets, which is really the heart and soul of the system. So you can screw in these hangers. I have opted to leave them loose so I can kind of adjust the placement and more easily replace the 2x4 if it comes down to that. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and just slide these brackets on like so. I'm going to grab 2 of my conduit and I will get these 2 started on this side. You can see this is where if you did want to opt to screw these in, they won't move around on you during assembly. It's not really that big of a deal to me personally. So moving on, go ahead and put this other piece of pipe. Now once you have your pipe in like so, then you can kind of grab one side at a time. Really make sure that those legs stretch out so you get that extra stability. Now, so like I said, I'm out here completely by myself. Went up that fast. I haven't been using this system for very long, so it's not like I've, gotten used to it per se, but once you have it set, I do again want to just point out, I am 5'10". These are cut to 5-foot length, so definitely account for the outward angle of these brackets. So I almost cut them down to 3.5 or 4 feet. It would have been way too low. So keep that in mind. This is as assembled with 5-foot legs on all 4 corners. Now from here, it still stays very simple and straightforward. You just hang your targets, clip the locking mechanism in place, especially if you're going to be shooting larger calibers, just so it saves you a couple of trips downrange having to set them all back up. They'll stay on nice and tight. So then last step, what I'll do is just get my nominal spacing. That makes me happy. This is definitely the stage where if you wanted to screw them down, you could certainly do so. For me, they haven't moved around or walked on this 2x4 at all without being screwed down. So again, for now, just to keep things simpler for changeover if needed, I'm just going to leave them unscrewed. And now, of course, you want to make sure you got some nice fresh paint for each range session. And the targets are pretty much as good as new. And there you have it. Without even being experienced on the system, this is only my second trip to the range with it. I put it together completely by myself while managing the camera in under 2 minutes. Fresh coat of paint and all. So very, very simple, very effective, portable system. You can pack it down, throw it in the bed of your truck, bring it to your next range session. It's a lot of fun with you and your friends. Okay, so we were out here at the range again today with this plate rack system. We threw some 308 full metal jacket at it. Again, within 100 yards, I would say I was approximately at 60 yards, but again, just got to throw that out there. Please do so at your own discretion. It is not recommended to shoot sub 100 yards. That being said, while doing that in the abusive fashion that I like to do on my channel, the only damage I'm seeing on the plates themselves is paint being removed, which is definitely to be expected with steel targets. In terms of the hardware itself, the top edge is somewhat exposed from behind these targets, so I did hit some of the meat of one of these locking mechanisms, and it blew out the soft metal without any resistance, which in my opinion is probably a good thing, because if this hardware was hardened, then if a round impacts it, it may ricochet in a direction not intended. So I think it's better that this metal yields and gives way, lets the bullet continue in its original flight path downrange without you wondering which random way it's going to go. There's enough meat left on these hangers. Even if you chew up the top edges on all of them, it's still going to do their job. It's not going to be able to destroy the target completely. It'll still function just fine. That being said, if it drives you crazy, you can purchase some replacement hardware from the Range Time Targets website for a very reasonable cost if it does bother you enough to do so. So I fully expect these targets to hold up for years and years to come, especially because I've already been using Range Time Target silhouettes that are only AR500 grade steel, and they've held up over thousands and thousands of rounds of abuse that I've thrown its way while making content for this channel. Now that is why I wholeheartedly recommend Range Time Targets, because I've just had so much fun over the years. They've held up just fine for me, and I plan on using them for years and years to come. So if you are interested in picking some up for yourself, there will be a link in the description below. I don't make any kickback on sales. I just highly recommend you pick some up for yourself because of the price point in which they come in at. So I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and as always guys, have a good one. .1388.
That's not bad.